Dignity Couture, represents inclusion, dignity, self-expression. That's the main core of my brand, self-expression without, judgment and without compromise in style. So I created and invented fashionable clothing and a whole new category um, and space for people with disabilities, such as specifically amputees.
So you.
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, South Central LA. I come from humble beginnings, um, come from a background, both parents were addicts, drugs and alcohol,
So when you were born.
or experiencing drugs. Also, my father was in and out of, YA, juvie, um, county jail, and then 33 years of prison.
Mm.
Yeah, so my maternal grandmother, raised me, and that's where I believe that I got most of my strength and structure. And, you know, from was my grandmother. And she always
You
believed
were
in
raised
me.
by your grandma.
Yes, I was raised by my grandmother, which took complete, was rewarded guardianship over myself and my siblings because of my mother addictions. Pretty
Um,
much, uh, I would say I had to grew up ahead of my time. I didn't want my siblings going into foster care when my grandmother had passed away. Um, I was 19 years old, and I took on the role of taking in my siblings and actually legally adopted my siblings. Four of my siblings, because the rest of my siblings I was unable to because I was young. So the social workers didn't think that it was a good idea for me to have, so many children young, and they didn't believe that I would be able to, you know, take on such a
Huge
responsibility.
role. Yeah.
Yes. So later on, moving forward, I had a brother um, that was in a drive-by in South Central Los Angeles, was shot in a drive-by, and he was shot in his spinal cord, which left him a paraplegic.
yes.
And it's different from a design patent, which I did start off with the design patent first. Um, the design patent only covers the design. A utility patent covers the whole function of the invention, which I have more than just the design. I have functions with my invention, excuse me. And one of the, I don't know if you guys can see,
Yes.
this
Work
is
hard.
this is what I call a limb protector. I don't know if you can see which comes off, and this protects the amputee's stump. So this would be considered a stump. This is a left leg above the knee amputee, right? And I invented a limb protector. So this is part of a function. So it covers. So if anyone were to infringe on my invention, I have a utility patent, which was
That's a
granted
powerful
by
patent,
the
you know.
United States, US, PTO and trademark office from the
Yes.
government. So praise God.
Oh, yeah. And also like we were discussing earlier that you're like part of the 1%, which have like in demographic wise, you are part of the 1% which transformed back or
Yes, importantly, I do want to say I am of 13% of women who ever to obtain a utility patent. And the 13% of women is all ethnicities, cultures of women. So shout out to women. We have more work to do, because 13% out of 100% is fair, really, really low. So I'm of the 13% of women to obtain a utility patent, and I am less than 3% of Black inventors to ever obtain a utility patent, and less than 1% of Black women to obtain a utility patent.
Facts.
And to be considered, I'm a certified inventor. So that's a
Here.
huge milestone.
Yes.
So yes, it took me a while. It's something that you said, that it took me a while, because I was, when you believe in yourself and you believe that you have something that you're building that is greater than you, and I'm striving to be impactful, and Dignity Couture to be a global brand, not just for just people with disabilities, for everyone, but specifically, I invented Dignity Couture specifically for, people that have disabilities. And my patent specifically is for amputees, because I felt the need of creating a new category and space for people who most of the time go unrecognized, so that was the sole purpose of Dignity Couture. Self expression to me is very important. Um, to be empowered, you know, to feel empowered, to feel confidence. And I always felt that no one should have to struggle with getting dressed, right? You know, and people with disabilities, specifically amputees, are most of the time overlooked. You know, um, there is no space really for people, specifically for amputees. They have less options of getting dressed. Most of the amputees um, that I have experienced, I come from a medical background. I've been in the medical field over 20 plus years. I was a phlebotomist, a nursing assistant. Although I did go to college for 3.5 years to become an RN, fortunately, I dropped out of college. I
What
went
was the
through to
RN?
be, yes, a registered nurse,
Registered nurse.
impactful
RN.
with
Okay, okay, understood.
making people lives such as amputees, paraplegics life, their daily lives, a more convenient and comfortable, you know, experience for them when getting dressed. Because when you look good, like Deion Sanders said, when you look good, you feel good. you know,
Absolutely.
and everyone wants to feel good. I don't care what type of disability you have, or if you don't have a disability, you want to look good and you want to feel good, and being an amputee is a struggle. It's not only a struggle daily with getting dressed, but mentally, you know. One of the huge challenges that I struggled with was finding a manufacturer.
Tony, much love.
Yes. Much love. Peace.
Peace. Bye bye.
Bye.